Hi, Dave here. My Coleman UT400. Just going to go over some basics with the winch with you. It has a controller. Apparently there's a bracket up under here to where you can keep the controller. I prefer just to keep it in the glove box. Keep it clean. So here it is. Pretty self-explanatory. Cable out, cable in. It can only be hooked up one way with this connector. And if you turn it, this little button thing, if that's facing you, it goes up underneath the dash here, just about underneath the tack. There's a port with a little rubber cover over it. But if you'll put that little button towards you, it goes right in. Okay. The ignition has to be on to operate the winch. So out. I didn't turn the ignition on. And in to operate the motion of the winch. I also highly recommend you buy a tow strap with hooks on the end. This one is 35 foot. The obvious reason is it gives me more reach. The cable on that winch is probably 15 to 20 foot, so this will give me another 35 foot. I keep the winch in this, I think it was called a tough box. I mounted some magnets that you screw through, put a couple bolt through the bottom, so that way it's held in place with the magnets. It works out really well. So I keep my tow strap, a pair of waders, and a selfie stick in the toolbox. It works out perfect. On the winch, there is a knob on the right-hand side as you're facing the machine. Some winches have a knob that you have to pull out and turn. This particular one, you just turn it toward the back of the machine, and that puts the winch in a freewheel mode so you can extend the cable out. Makes it a lot easier than trying to use the controls, obviously. This is an example of how not to run the cable on your winch. Don't tie the hook back into it like I did. I went around the tree one time and tied the hook here. It's going to cause a lot of stress on the cable right at this point as it tightens up, and it's going to either damage the cable or simply break the cable. Incidentally, whenever you have the cable out and you're trying to use the winch to pull something, about midway through between the connection point and the side-by-side, you want to throw a shirt, a jacket, something over the cable. In case that cable snaps, it will stop it from whiplashing back at you. Now, if you don't have a tow strap, don't hook it this way. I'll show you how to hook it real quick. I'll show you why a tow strap is important in the next section. But here, if you don't have a tow strap, run the cable around the tree or whatever 1 or 2 times, and then come back in and hook it to the cable. And place the hook in such a way that when the cable is being pulled taut by the side-by-side, it's not putting stress on the cable with the hook. It'll tighten up along the tree, and it'll pull it out without hurting the cable, hopefully. Always put a piece of cloth at the bend point over the cable. Hi, Dave. Hello, Dave here. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. Thank you. Once you have your rigging set up and everything's hooked in, remember to go back to the knob and turn it back to lock it in. If when you try to use the winch, you hear it moving but it's not pulling the cable, make sure that you're locked in with this lever. Now I'm going to wind up the excess cable I put out. And when you're doing so, you want to kind of feed the intake in to kind of put it on the spool nicely. Hold it with a glove. Do not slide it through your bare hands. Trust me. Let me get it started up and I'll start bringing it in and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm going to start bringing it in just to take up some slack. Next, I'll show you how to do the rigging properly with a tow strap. So just kind of work your hand back and forth, otherwise it'll pile up in one area and get jammed up in these bars. Kind of creates a mess. That wasn't perfect, but it's good for now. Okay, here I'm going to show you how to rig it up with the tow strap, which is the way I prefer and really the main reason I bought a tow strap. Hook the hooks together, tow strap and the winch hook. That way you're not damaging the cable at all. Pull it taut against your anchoring. Okay, it's running now. I got my controller off to the left as you're looking at it. I'm just going to see if we can pull this thing. The parking brakes are locked in. See what it does. That worked pretty good. If you look here, the ATV skidded along the ground. If it sounded kind of weak, but you know, if you're trying to get out of a mud hole of some type or whatever, you'd be revving the motor up and giving it more power. So I'm pretty impressed with it, actually, for being what it is. And if you come down to this end here, you can see everything is real loose. This will be very easy to unwind from this tree. And with this connection going hook to hook like this, I'm not doing any damage to the cable. I can assure you, you don't want that cable to snap and come back at you. Usually, if you're stuck, you'll be in the cab, and that windshield, even though it's weak, it will give you some protection. Hang on, I'm going to show you another idea that the tow strap is good for. Now, if your anchor point is behind you, not in front of you, the problem is the winch is in front. So what you want to do is hook the tow strap up to your cable, and then you can simply feed the tow strap around the wheels. It's easier to handle than the cable. Pull it through, loop it around the wheels, and use the tow strap to pull the cable back to where you need to be. Now keep in mind, if the anchor point behind you is off in this direction, then you might want to just go around the front wheel and come out the side here. Keep in mind, you don't want the cable to damage the tires and give you a flat tire. In the next section, I will show you what to do if there's a problem with the actual winch. So what do you do if you move the in and out on the controller? You hear clicking. I'll try to insert a clip here so you know what the clicking sounds like, and the winch doesn't move. Okay, what you want to do is come over here on the top, the red wire. Just try to nudge it, hit it with a rock, do what you have to do. And then there is another one underneath here. That connection might be bad. Either one of those could be bad. Most likely, those are the problem. Now, in here is the actual control unit for the winch. You just grab a hold of these wires going in here and just try to jiggle them. Just see if you can get the thing to work. Okay? And you might get lucky. Now, if the winch goes in but not out, or out but not in, on this side of the control unit, you'll see the control wires. Grab a hold of those and just make sure they're tight. Jiggle them around a little bit. You might get lucky. It might actually work. If it still doesn't work, get a pair of jumper cables. Oh, there's my beer. Take the seat off and hook the two terminals to the battery. Wrap it around the front here. And just connect one to the red one. Red isn't necessarily positive on this because it alters depending on which way it's spinning. But hook the jumper cables to this point and the point at the bottom. I would hook these up first and then hook it to the battery. If it's going the opposite direction of what you need it to go, just switch the connections on the battery and it will go the other way. This too might help you get out of a tight spot. Most likely you don't have a pair of jumper cables, either do I, but if you have a friend that can run you back with a set, you might be able to get it to work to get you out of the mud and back on the road.